Hi guys, we're going to start graphing sine functions. I'm crossing my fingers that this one works because this is the fourth time I've recorded this video. Every single time I go to stop, something happens. So wish me luck. All right, graph y equals negative sine x minus pi over 3. So same thing that we have been doing, except for we have another little shift in here. So when we started, no, I can't find what I want to find that I had on my other notes. Here we go. The other 3 times I made this video. We had in the notes, there's this part, sine bx plus c plus d, where it says that A is the amplitude, B affects the period, C is your vertical shift, and D is your horizontal shift. Other way around. C is your horizontal shift, V is your vertical shift. So if we look at this, let's pull out those important aspects. So we want A is our amplitude. Technically, we don't have negative amplitude, but we do know that it's going to be a negative sine function. So we want to make sure we make note of that when we do our little graph of what it looks like. We typically go up for sine, right? In this case, we're going to be going down. So this is what our graph is going to look like, okay? But our amp is still 1. All right, period is the number with the x or the theta, same thing. There's no number here, so our period is going to be 360 or 2 pi, whichever one you'd like to use. Remember, we can figure out something important happening. What do we have to divide our period by? I hope you said 4. So dividing this guy by 4, we get pi over 2, which is also equal to 90 degrees. Okay? Okay, now we need to do the new part, which is our shifts. For our shifts, remember back in the beginning we did parent functions, like chapter 3, and it was like the equation told us what shape we're going to have. So we know it's a sine graph. We know the shape is going to be a sinoid curve, right? But let's just say, let's go back, it will be fun, and look at this guy, okay? We knew based on the square, the parent function was a parabola. This guy told us our shifts, but it was opposite, correct? So this guy would really be right 3, because you think negative is left. Nope, it's opposite, it's right. So this would be right 3, and then this one follows up 1. So taking the vertex, I would go right 1, 2, 3, and then up 1, and here's my parabola. Okay, so same thing. We're going to take our sine function. We're making it negative, so it's going to reciprocate over, flip over the x-axis. This is going to go right pi over 3. So it's easy when this guy is 1. When that guy's not 1, it's not so easy. So it's a really good habit to get into is to set your parentheses equal to 0 and just solve for x. In this case, we would get a positive pi over 3. So we would be going pi over 3. This negative means I'm going right pi over 3. This also, because we got a positive pi over 3, is why it's up right, okay? And then there's a shift up and down, but in this case, there is no shift up and down. All right, so I think it's easiest, here we go. I think it's easiest to look at this as far as units go. I'm going to graph my original function, negative sine x. I'm going to take out my shift, okay? But I would, if it has like a 2 in front, you would keep the 2, okay? So I'm just going to do my basic sine function with the period and with the amplitude. So period and amplitude, I have those guys, okay? And then we need to figure out what all these shifts are. If you guys remember, this is pi, right? There are 6 units on this graph paper of pi. So I can just kind of figure out this unit is 180 or pi divided by 6. That's 30 degrees, okay? So I know 1 unit is really equal to 30 degrees. I think it's the easiest to shift these graphs going unit-wise. So let's start by graphing this function. So we know, it's right there. This is the function I want. It's negative, right? So I have a start point. And where's our end point going to be at? Where our shift is, or our period is 2 pi. So we're going to go all the way out to 2 pi. And then remember, something important is going to be happening every 90 degrees, or you can look at this and say start, end. I got to go halfway between that for my mid. So my middle point is right there. I go halfway between these guys for my halfway point. This is where it gets tricky. If you didn't sketch this guy out knowing it has to go down, a lot of kids would have put it up. Okay, so be careful on that. So halfway between these guys is a half, and I'm at -1. Half, -1. So something important is happening every 90 degrees. There's 90 degrees, there's 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. Okay. All right, now let's go ahead and do our shift. So our shift is negative, so it's really going to be going right. Pi over 3. Pi over 3 is 180 divided by 3, right? Which is 60 degrees, which is equal to 2 units. Okay, so I'm going to think of this in units. It's probably the easiest way to graph this guy. I'm taking my original pink equation, right, with my amplitude and my period, and I'm going to move every single one right 2 units. This is one way to do it. I think this is obviously the easier way to do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it this way. But if this isn't making sense to you, feel free to Google graphing sinoids with shifts and see what else you can find that might make a little bit more sense for you. All right, so each point I need to move 2 units to the right. I don't have to go up or down any on this one. So before I move this unit, this point, I'm going to cross it off so I don't get confused. And I'm going to the right 2 units. 1, 2, otherwise known as 60 degrees, right? And then take this one, cross it off, 1, 2 units. 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 Okay? So we have our center, low, center, high, center. We said 1, 2, 3. Low, 1, 2, 3. Center, 1, 2, 3. High. Sorry, I thought you could hear my husband. I don't know what he's doing. He's supposed to be working. Okay, and then here we go. And there's my sine graph. Okay, let's graph this guy. So we need to go and find all the important aspects, just like we did before. What are those important aspects? We need to find our amplitude. We need to find our period. We need to find any shifts. Okay. My amplitude in this case is a half, a little different. Our period, we remember it's right here. We're going to take our 2 pi or 360 and divide by that number, which is 2, so we get pi. Okay. So something important happening every pi over 4 degrees, pi over 4, which is equivalent to 45 degrees, okay? Just something to help us when we're graphing this thing. All right, shifts. So let's do the hard one first. So it's this guy. Remember, we're going to say that guy and set it equal to 0. So 2x plus pi equals 0. Move the pi. 2x equals negative pi. X equals negative half pi. Okay, so looking up here, it's a positive, so it's going to be going left, and this is negative pi over 2, so that makes sense. So we're going to go left pi over 2. So if you set it equal to 0, it follows this sign. If you don't, you got to go the opposite. So we're going to go left pi over 2. And then what's this guy mean? We're going to go down 1. Side note, super quick, this guy, occasionally you will see it written as y equals -1 plus 1/2 sine 2x plus pi over, or just pi. So this is your d value. And if you don't like it there, you could rewrite it back there to match this y sine bx plus c plus d formula. Okay, so it does happen where they like to put the up and down shift on the left instead of the right side. Okay, we have all this important information. We got our amp, we got our period, we got our shifts, we got something important happens every 45. Looks like we are ready to graph this guy. Let's graph the function before the shifts. So let's graph y equals half sine 2x. So I took its amp, period, and trig function, okay? So we're going to graph this guy, and then we'll shift it. All right. So I'm always going to graph this guy. It's a sine, so it looks like this. Okay. We said something important happens every 45 degrees. Remember, one of these units, if you're using this graph paper, is 30 degrees. So really this is 1.5 units is where something important is happening. All right, so let's start to graph this guy. I'll take away all this stuff. So we're starting at the center. And then our end, what did we say our period was? Our period is pi. Halfway between 0 and pi is pi over 2. And then we need to find our high and our low point. So we can take halfway between these guys. Think about it as units. You can take half of pi over 2, so pi over 4, but there's no pi over 4 marked. Or just think about it like units. There's 3 units. What's half of 3? 1.5. So we're going to go 1.5, and our amplitude is a half. That's 1, so it's going to be right there. 1.5, and then down a half. Okay, so there's our normal half sine 2x. That's a very small amount. I think I'm going to do, let's just do a full 2 pi here. Okay, so now I can add a little bit more to shift. Okay, so we're taking each of these and we're going left pi over 2. Pi over 2 we said was 90 degrees, which each unit is 30, so we really need to go 3 units to the left. And we're going to go down 1 unit. Okay, so we need to go each of these dots, we're going to go left 3 units because that's equivalent to 90 degrees. And we're going to go down 1 unit because that is equivalent to our D, our vertical shift. Okay, so again, before you move a point, let's cross it off. Okay, so we're going to go left 3 units. 1, 2, 3. So we went left 90, and we're going to go down 1 unit. Down 1 unit. Left 3 units. So this one's a little bit harder because it's in the middle, but that's okay. So we're going to say 1, 2, 3. So you can just guesstimate it. And it's still in the middle because it's at a half. So we're going to go down 1. That's going to put us at negative a half. Okay. So cross it off when I move it. 1, 2, 3. Down 1 unit. Great. Down 1. I'm sorry. Left 1, 2, 3. Down a unit. Left 1, 2, 3. Down a unit. Left 1, 2, 3. Down a unit. Whoa. Does that run right? Yeah, that's right. And then left 1, 2, 3, down a unit, which actually ends up being at the same spot. Okay, so we can do our little curve here. We can keep moving those points, or we know something important we said happens every 1.5 units. So to make this a little bit easier, it's in the middle. So let's go half 1 unit, and then we're gonna go 1.5 units and our amplitude. Half 1.5 units, amplitude. 1.5 units, amplitude. And it just keeps going. Okay. All right, wish me luck. I'm pushing stop. I hope this is the last video of this one I make for you.